Yes, thank you, Chair. Because this is under the evidentiary overview, it was more for us to note that while the minister took responsibility in his testimony, that he gave the directive himself and there was no third party. It was just that we need to note that Lieutenant General Kunazi, and in his testimony before us, was not convinced that it was. And I think it was Kibindi, or there was some email trail that went via the advisor. So there was a bit of uncertainty whether the directive came directly from him and there wasn't anybody else that was involved in it. Though we have to take, so this paragraph was more for us to be able to record that there were alternate testimonies or alternate views about the directive, noting that the minister himself has or said he took responsibility and he was not influenced by anybody else in actually writing the letter, not necessarily on making the decision. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Let's rotate the African National Congress.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We reject the MK's submission on this. Firstly, okay, the issue of the timing we have dealt with over and over again. The apparent, I'm not sure. But we don't agree with the with the MKP's formulation. However, on the EFF submission, which in our understanding, they want to expand and dig into how the minister made the decision, which I think is something that we have over time sought to understand. I mean, it was the basis of this inquiry. The origin, the minister has sought to explain the origin. There's been no evidence that has been presented before us in terms of its origin being elsewhere. Authorship also we don't think is in doubt. But if they're saying that, we need to look at something that we have looked at again, it doesn't make sense. But I suppose that at the core of the AdHocCommittee itself would have been this directive. I don't know if further down in the documentation, Chair, sorry, my memory is failing me. If further down in the documentation, the EFF goes to then explain how they think that this must be done. I know that at some point, I think there was a reference to either forensic watwati, looking at the metadata of the documents and so forth. But yeah, we don't have an issue with that. But the MK submission, we don't agree with. We support the EFF's submission on this, barring the issues that we have raised around timing and so forth, and the issue of influence as well, which I think we had dealt with earlier. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. The DA.
Thank you, Chair. We don't support the MK submission. We don't think it adds any significant value. We do support the submission of the EFF. In fact, I think there's quite a bit that later on in the report could potentially be added to that for further value. So we submit, Chair, that we don't support the submission by MK, but we do support the one by the EFF. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, the EFF on the submission of the MK. Honorable Matthews. Honorable Mwango. Honorable Solis.
Chair, we agree with the submission of the MKP in as far as they are saying that the timing of the directive, its apparent benefit to persons affected by the Gauteng investigations. They are saying that it requires assessment, which is true. It does require assessment. When it comes to the last part, and that Minister Mkhunu had been influenced by Mr. Haas and Mr. Mokhotsi, we feel that should be differently phrased, although it's not entirely misplaced, but it gives the impression that the minister only considered those two submissions or those two things that was given to him, which we feel is not accurate. So it should read differently in a sense to say that by Mr. Haas and Mr. Mokhotsi, including other considerations, so that it doesn't give the impression that it's just them. And then the EFF, we definitely agree with that submission, that the rationale, origin, and authorship and the timing of the directive be assessed. We do agree with that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Action SA. Can we get your reply, MKP?
Thank you, Chair. In fact, they've omitted Patricia Mashale because the minister himself, we spoke in length about that, and the records will show. It was not only so-called Professor Dihas and Mokhotsi. There was Patricia Mashale, which the minister accepted and agreed that there was communication between him and her. Hence the submission. You know, and I must say that Mashale must be included here, you know, because the minister himself conceded on that, you know, and so if one has a problem with that, I don't know. Hence, I once said, you know, that if all our submission, this is why what is happening is that, you know what, I don't want to bring politics there, you know, because we have to convince each other here. And not say this one is GNU now, this and that. No, I don't want to go there. But Chair, let's not twist the facts, because we are all here listening, and we have to capture this thing as witnesses were called before us, and we all listened. And there's nothing which one is bringing, Konto Caesar or anyone bringing anything new here. There's nothing new. All these things were deliberated in our probe to all the witnesses who came before us. So for us to say this must be taken out, maybe the issue of it's a semantics issue here. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not going to be here defending each and every all of us our submission here. No, I'm not going to. If you feel that all what you submitted we are incorrect, it's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Chair Shongwe, my hand is up.
Honorable Shongwe.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm reminded that we spoke on this issue a bit, and we had agreed that part of this issue, if I may remind the committee, we said we're going to look at the video where Minister Mkhunu he himself admitted to sending or advising Gabinde to record General Mkhwanazi. Now, Chair, if you check the video again, you'll find that it's only the three things he mentions that he relied. He never says he relied, but I can't have the right word, but his decision was formulated from that realization of Uguti. He remembered the complaint by Mashale, he remembered the submission by Merit Dihas as well. So there's nothing else the minister articulates in that response. Uguti, he also relied on something else. Mainly it was this and the finances. So I proposed here again, this matter same as that one we agreed we'll check the recording. Can it be checked on the recording by our staff? And then we come back to this matter and write it as it should be, because it is very, very important. These are elements where we can't make mistake of changing just even a single word. Let's just be accurate on this one. Let's allow the staff to check. If they have checked on that admission of the recording, can they also check on this one, Chair? That's my proposal. I submit, Chair.
Okay. No, yeah,
Yeah, but-
this, can I give a ruling, honorable members, so that we don't belabor the point? This,
Chair. Chairperson.
hello, is that honorable source?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to clarify that we agree that there has been a consideration and an influence by Mary Dahas, Bokgotsi, and now, of course, the added Patricia Ashale. No problem with that. What we are cautioning against is giving the impression that that was the only driving force or influence for the minister's actions. That was not what came out through the proceedings. So we're saying maybe just to add and other elements that he considered. That's what the position is, but we agree with the statement.
Yeah. From now onwards, honorable members, when we get to our meetings, I'm going to check if each one of you has a notebook, because Honorable Souls just came to the decision that I was going to make. If you remember, previously, this submission may not replicate itself verbatim or word for word, but in our previous meetings we dealt with a similar submission that used the phrase external forces, if members will remember. And the committee came to a decision that it was not only the submission that would have been made by Ms. Mashale or by Mr. Haas or by Mr. Mkhodzi, but evidence was also presented before the committee, including the expenditure reports of the PKTT that were presented before us. So this decision was not solely based on what would have been said by Mr. Mkhodzi or Ms. Mashal or Mr. Haas, but various other documents or information presented before the minister would have been considered. So we are going to stay with the formulation that we agreed to in the last meeting.